Welcome to the NBA Coast to Coast podcast, brought to you by thelines.com. Coming to you from France, Josh Lander, joined by my guy Nate Weitzer on the East Coast. And we are taking a look at a pretty big slate here to end the week on Friday night, Nate. In this one, we are taking a look at the Pacers taking on these Miami Heat, who are without Jimmy Butler tonight, but plenty of reason to like some stars out, bets up stuff for Los Heat tonight. Want to make sure to like and subscribe to that page. Continue to follow along with us. We bring you a couple game videos and our player props that we continue to stay hot with this season, each and every weekday of this regular season. Also have our, want you to head to thelines.com, have great written content all there for you guys all season long, and our odds finder tool where you can go ahead and make sure that you are shopping those lines to the best of your ability across U.S. sports books this NBA season. Nate, let's go ahead and jump into this slate and then talk Heat and Pacers.
I think it's this Miami Heat, which is that awkward grammar thing you have to use when you talk about the Heat or Magic. I hate as a writer, but anyway, yeah, here we go. Heat -3.5 at the Pacers. That is the game we're talking here. Tons of other games to look at. I'll run through them quick. Knicks +2.5 at Sixers. Cavs -6 at the Pistons. The Nets +3 at Wizards. Bulls +7 at the Celtics. The Clippers -4.5 at Spurs. Hornets +11 at Grizz. Warriors on a back-to-back are +4 at the Pelicans. The Raptors +3.5 at the Mavs. They're gaining a little steam after crushing their last two opponents. The Blazers +11 at the Suns. We'll see if Dame gets back for that one. The other game we break down, Bucks are -3.5 at Wolves. Gobert and Ant Edwards questionable for that one. And then we cap things off with Utah +2.5 at the Lakers, who are trying to get on track here. So Jimmy Butler's out with a hip issue. I think, and Bam is questionable with knee soreness. And normally, we like to say stars out, bets up. I don't think Bam really qualifies in that sense as being in any way an overrated piece of the team or as a dispensable piece of the team. So full disclaimer, this take becomes cold if Bam is ruled out, and I would not get your money down on Miami, but look, they did beat Indiana twice without Bam and Jimmy last December, and they beat them by an average of 19 points per game. Even the game they've lost in their last four meetings against Indiana, Tyler Hero went off for 30 points on 12 for 28, and he's only gotten better since then. In that loss, it was one of the first games of the season. We're a little bit beyond that at this point. Miami sort of hit that second gear when Jimmy said, after some road losses, we're still winning the title. And then they came home and handled business. Now they're in Indiana, but not the toughest place for them to play. Like I said, they've won 3 of their last 4 and covered in those against the Pacers. And in that loss, Lowry was out. Jimmy shot 7 for 22 from the floor. So it's not like he's been crushing the Pacers with his offense. Lowry a little healthier at this point in the season. He's 6th in total minutes in the season, interestingly. But this is really more about the Heat defense, and that's why I think we need Bam in there. But what they've been able to do this season, it's pretty much the norm against really, really good competition. I mean, I guess you'd say their weakest games have been against the Kings twice, and that's a tough offensive team. They played the Warriors twice, the Raptors twice, Blazers, Celtics, Bulls, and the Pacers have played no one. Like literally awful teams, including the Nets twice, who are the easiest team to score on. And then they actually kind of got shut down the stretch by those Nets in that immediate rematch. Their offense, when you look at it, I mean, they're 3rd in 3-pointers and 3rd fast break points and 4th in assist to field goal ratio, but not scoring in the paint. Miami is just going to limit all those things. I mean, you're not getting easy threes. You're not getting easy kickouts against Miami. You're not going to beat them in transition, even without Jimmy out there. And sure enough, in this matchup, the Pacers, 97 points per game, shot under 29% from 3 in those last 4 against Miami. I mean, this is a team that scores 118 on the year, and if they're getting closer to 98, there is no path to victory. I'm sorry, their defense is not going to be good enough, even without Jimmy Butler, to hold down Miami and win this game. So, I mean, that's pretty much the logic here, is that Miami's going to be able to hold them in check, that they've faced a much tougher schedule, and that the line is a little bit skewed by that. Those results combined with the fact that Jimmy Butler's out.
Yeah, all that. Yeah, I mean, once again, though, just if Bam plays. But Bam's got to play. It's not just the defense; it's the rebounding. Miami, not a good rebounding team this season. Also, without Omar Yurt's season, Yurt's 7, and it's not going to be Yurt's season tonight.
Haywood Heisman, though.
Yeah, maybe. And even, don't be fooled by Nikola Jovic, not Jokic. Obviously, hopefully you didn't fall for that in fantasy, but Jovic is not also playing tonight. I mean, look, he's a big small forward, big power forward, small forward, and occasional small ball center. So like really, yeah, they're going to be hurting for rebounding. It's why it's what we've talked about with Indiana when we've talked about them this season. And the reason that we've picked them a couple times to cover humongous spreads against a team like, say, the Brooklyn Nets is they're the second best rebounding team in the league right now, which is wild to continue to see. Is Indiana. Miami's all the way down in the bottom 10 right now. And look, for Miami, before anybody hits the panic button, I mean, I did take under roughly like 51.5 wins for them to start the season, only because they didn't do enough to me to improve their roster compared to other teams. It's just that simple, just compared to the top of the East. And we're seeing that play out with Donovan Mitchell and the way the Cavs look right now as an example of adding something to your roster to that, was lacking last season. And they've shored that up. And now they've got one loss and are atop the East right behind Milwaukee. Miami, meanwhile, is still getting it back together. And yes, they've won 2 in a row. But pause on any sort of hypothesis or prediction right now for Miami and the rest of their season is I'm not going to continue on with it because I need to see a little bit more compared. Like the teams that they played, they basically just played playoff round after playoff round this season, where they've only had like a few games that you could say. I mean, like you said, Sac on the road for them. Not a fun game on the back-to-back of a road trip against Golden State the night before, where they lost after getting Steph Curried in the third and fourth quarter, playing Portland a couple nights before that. So like that, all that stuff, playing Toronto twice in a row, Boston and Chicago to open the season. Like I said, those are all playoff teams. Maybe Chicago failed to make it, but like they're all going to be teams that are close, 35 to 50 win teams. So like I need to see what they do in situations like tonight, essentially. I wish that we were getting some Jimmy stuff, but because to me, like this team goes on offense as Jimmy goes, right? And we talk about him being sort of a facilitator at this point, a little bit more of a guy with his hands on the ball to start, which is what I think they're going to be missing tonight, because that's not really what Kyle Lowry's game is going to be anymore. We'll see how they incorporate Hero. I do think if they're going to put him in the starting lineup and keep him there as they have been, and then tonight he's going to continue to get those numbers, you got to feel pretty good about it. I'm still not seeing too many props, but to be honest, dude, like with this game, I'm really just looking at props anyway. I really just want to see who's playing for Miami and then just go for it. If Bam is playing, got to get in there with him and probably some rebounds as well and some props. And if he's not, and even if he is, I still kind of want to see what Tyler Heroes are, because like you said, if it's going to be anywhere in the low 20s for Hero, I can't see him getting less than like roughly 25 points in this game when we're talking about an Indiana team that's still I think the third worst defensive rating in the league, on top of giving up an incredibly high percentage from 3 to their opponents. So like all these things is exactly what Miami wants to do on offense. They just need at least Bam there to anchor that defense and rebounding before I feel really comfortable about them. And also I already feel really comfortable about Tyler Hero props, basically.
Yeah, you said Jimmy's got to initiate the offense. You forgot about the 6th man of the year who's now starting and is just a walking bucket. And yeah,
the bucket though, is he going to be able to control their offense like a point guard is all I'm wondering.
Well, Lowry's out there too, right? And if those two guys are who you're leaning on, you got to like the fact that Indiana's dead last in opponent 3-point percentage, right?
Yeah.
Spreading it out. We should mention the rest discrepancy here. Like we said, Miami was on the road. Now they were home, but this is the third game in 4 nights for them. And Indiana's been off that entire time since Monday. But as a young team, sometimes that works against you. And last year with extra rest, they went 4-10 against the spread. So that's not really where I go in terms of worrying about Miami. They're also 4-15 straight up when they're home underdogs. And they're not necessarily trying to win this year, right? I mean, we've seen some shady things in terms of pulling Halliburton early in the game, in terms of Miles Turner not being listed on the injury report, but just sometimes not playing. We have no idea if he's going to play tonight or how much he's going to play. They have other bigs out there, but like he's absolutely essential if you're going to match up with Bam. In Miami, it's you got to lean on Eric Spoelstra, voted by the GM survey as the best coach in the league. And his scheme's going to be good. I mean, they have next man up coming in. Max Strus, don't sleep on him. And they just handled business on the road, 29-19 against the spread last season. I would like to just bank on them getting right here after such a tough schedule to open the season, and Indiana just not necessarily being a team that's going to fight you down the stretch and doesn't have a good crunch time offense. Like, I come back to how that last game ended against the Nets. It never really seemed like they had a chance to win, right? And you get into a close game with Miami in crunch time, it's going to be really hard for this team to score.
Yep. No, and that's really true. I think, you look at the rosters without Bam and Jimmy, it's a lot closer. It's a lot closer to a pick 'em than 4 points once you take Bam out of that lineup as well, right? You keep Bam in there, and these rosters right next to each other. Yes, I think that it's still, you still favor Miami, but you take Bam out, and you butt them up next to each other. It's just much too close at that point. I just think it really does level the playing field of picking the props, because now we know who's getting the ball and who should be receiving the most attention on each of these squads. So that is all the time we have for you guys today. Definitely want to make sure to like and subscribe to that page. Also check out our player props video, which we continue to stay super hot with this season. And until we see you next, happy betting.